usual, we're going to give it a little bit of time for people to pop in here before I start talking a whole lot. So if you're in here early, give me a second to get set up. Pop out the chat, get ready for these questions that are going to come in. You know, I'll probably mess around with the camera a little bit, get that framing right, you know. Let's get that height down a little bit. Enjoy the view of my palm. Maybe a smidgen lower. Yeah, we're looking good. All right, let's get this chat accessible. Let's mute that video. Okay. Chat has popped out. Looks like we got 6 people in here. Hey, Tyler, what's up, man? He says it finally notifies me when these things happen. Yeah, I know a lot of people don't get notified. You know, the way that works is YouTube relies on how many likes the live stream gets. Initially, they only let like a couple hundred people know it's happening. And then when like more people like the video, the live stream, in this situation, then YouTube will be like, oh, okay, people like this. Let me show more of this guy's audience what's happening. You know, they will not send it to you just because you're subscribed. God, guys, I've been sick this entire month. This whole month, all of August. Most of the time I can only hear out of one ear. It's so distracting. But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I got sick twice. First at the beginning of the month from traveling, and then I bounced back. I was good for like 2 days. Then I got hit with a sinus infection that I got from, I think, from one of my friend's kids. That just happens. You know, you hang out with friends that got kids. Kids carry a lot of germs, but it's worth it, right? So I feel like I need to move over to the right a little bit. Tyler says, same. Plane leaving Vegas has me sick 5 days for 5 days, 5 weeks. Dude, that's exactly what it was for me. I went to Vegas for business, came back immediately sick. I call it the airplane flu. And then 3 weeks later, I just had like tremendous fatigue. Like I wasn't even that sick, just a lot of fatigue and tons of brain fog. Like I felt almost like as if I had like a hangover every day. Like I couldn't, if I had to do like some Excel work, for example, or accounting, it was really frustrating. But right as I started to get better, I got whammied with the sinus infection. So for the few people that are in here already, you know, you heard me explain why liking the video matters. It helps spread it to more people. So if you're in here, please like the video, and that will let you know, more people know this live stream is happening. I should probably like it myself, huh? I get 1 like. My like counts. And then if you guys got questions about anything in general, whether it's hi-fi news, upcoming reviews, system advice. I mean, we just saw Rel is revamping their entire Series S. That's exciting stuff. In my Discord, for example, a lot of guys are curious about the new grill design. It looks like it's a slat wood grill, very polarizing. I think that might just be an option. I don't know if that's going to be the only grill option. I'd imagine, I'm just guessing, I don't have any insider information. I'm guessing that Rel would also provide a traditional fabric grill perhaps, and the wood slat grill might be an option. If it's not an option, if it just comes with the wood slat grill, that would be interesting to me. Give me a second, guys. I'm going to just update my Discord server and let them know this live stream's happening. Almost done. All right, that's done. 11 people in here. This live stream is off to a slow start. I usually got a lot of, I wonder if the chat crashed because I'm not getting anything. I only have 2 comments. Usually once there's 10 people in here, at least, you know, a few of them say hi and I see that. Let me see if there's a way to reload this. My chat's never crashed, but I know from watching Andrew Robinson's live streams, it's happened to him a couple of times. Let's see if this works. Control R. Good old-fashioned keyboard command. No? Yeah, just 2. Okay, I see a third one, Pandemonium. Hi, Nemo. What's up, Pandemonium? Yeah, it might just be a slow start. No big deal. No big deal. So I'll start yapping. You know, when questions start coming in, I'll start reacting to those questions. So Rel has the new Series S subwoofers coming. They're updating or replacing, I should say, the S510, the S812, and the Carbon Special, it looks like. I don't believe any of it's on their website just yet, but they did do like a little teaser video. Let me check their website, see if it's live. No, it isn't. Not yet. But the teaser video is on YouTube for anyone that wants to see it. It does look like exciting stuff. I will be getting a review sample of the whichever one is replacing the S812. I believe it's going to be called the S850. Okay. So I'm guessing it's going to be, you know, sealed 12 passive radiator, you know, just like the S812, but maybe instead of 800 watts, it's going to be 850 watts. Maybe the cabinet, I'm not sure if the cabinet's larger. It looks like they decided to go a little bit shorter and just a smidgen wider, kind of like the Predator 1510's shape. And I think that's smart because that shape tends to look really small in the room. In pictures, it'll still look big, right? But once you get it on in the room, the lower the subwoofer is to the floor, the smaller it looks, regardless of how deep it is or how wide it is. So I think that was a good move. Pandemonium says, okay, quick question. It's pretty specific. That's okay. I don't mind specific questions, my bro. Why do you think Parasound did away with their silver components? They charge substantially more for the black finish, which is the only option now. I didn't know Parasound did that, bro. Let me hop on their website. That would be strange, but let's see here. Let's go to their shop and let's just look at like all their amps, for example. Huh. Well, it looks like the Halo A23 Power Amp Silver is still available in silver. It's called the Power Amp Silver. So that may be a special edition. It does look like they have the JC1 Plus Monoblock Silver and the Halo Hint 6 Integrated Amp Silver. Those may be old stock, of course. Not older stock, but from a previous production run. Let me click on something and see. Let's look at that JC5 stereo power amp, for example. Nice little $6,500 amp. Does not look like that comes in silver. Yeah, who knows, man? It's hard to say. Maybe they sold a ton more black than silver, for example. You know, maybe it's the same reason a lot of manufacturers aren't doing manual transmissions anymore. I think something like 10% or less of all cars sold were manual transmission. And at that point, from a cost standpoint, it didn't make sense for a lot of brands like Honda to continue to offer a 5-speed in the Accord, where if I had to guess, I'd say maybe less than 5% of Accord customers want a 5-speed. It could be branding related. Maybe they feel like the black is more luxurious looking against their gold accents. I tend to like their silver quite a bit, though. But I'm not sure. It could also be, it could come down to manufacturing. Remember, silver finishes, those machined finishes are generally clear coated. They show off that natural metal. So that natural metal can't have any imperfections, which can be difficult sometimes. So while the black might have an extra step of, if it's aluminum, maybe anodizing. If it's steel, maybe they're painting it, right? Maybe they're powder coating it. I don't know what their color finishes are. but getting a nice raw metal finish could be difficult, especially if they're using a metal that is perhaps a more affordable grade, since it's not structural. You know, they're not making forged wheels here, for example. So I'd imagine to get that nice clear coated machined finish, they probably had to use a higher grade steel than was necessary. Maybe it was cost prohibitive. I'm just completely guessing here, but those are a few reasons perhaps they're moving away from silver. Diddy Roo says, yo, hope having a great day. 2 questions. Are you going to review the 212SX replacement and the new carbon special from Rel? Also, any plans to review the CAF reference 1? I'd love your take. Hold on a second, bro. I got some, since I've been sick, I keep blowing my nose. So I keep getting a bunch of like little white specks from the tissue on my glasses, and I could see them. Let me clean those. They're bothering me. All right, crystal clear HD vision now. So, Diddy Roo, 212SX, you must be a little bit newer to the channel, and that's totally okay. Welcome. I don't review subwoofers over 100 pounds, generally speaking. 100 pounds is going to be the weight limit for this YouTube channel, because you got to remember, guys, these subwoofers that are heavier, they come in big boxes. I got to store those boxes somewhere. I got to get these subwoofers into my home, set them up, get them into position. And then when I'm finished, I got to put them back in the box, and I got to ship them back. And that is really difficult for one guy to do when something's in excess of 100 pounds. Even at 90 pounds, it's difficult. Yes, I know. I have reviewed one subwoofer that was north of 100 pounds, the Rhythmic F18. That was just a special thing. I was personally so curious about it. It had just always been on my bucket list. I made an exception for that. But for the most part, we're not going to be reviewing those giant subwoofers over 100 pounds. I don't have even, like, my room isn't even designed for subwoofers that big, right? As far as the new carbon, I do, as an owner of the previous carbon, I felt like it might be more interesting if I reviewed the replacement for the S812, because I didn't have a lot of discussions with Rel, but I did talk to them just a little bit about this new range. And it did seem, they didn't say this outright, okay? But it did seem like one of their goals in the new S812 replacement may have been using the, carbon special as a benchmark, right? So I'm curious to see how close this new S850 gets to my carbon specials, which are now considered, I guess, the previous generation, or the old model, if you will, right? So, because, if I just reviewed like the new carbon special, of course it's going to be better than the carbons I have. That's what everyone's expecting, right? I mean, it's a new model. But I think what's more of a high value item, if you will, it's hard to say the words high value at this price point. I understand that, but does the new standard 12-inch outperform the previous gens, limited edition model, or is it even on par? If it's even equivalent, if it even gets close, that would still be very remarkable, because the previous S812 and carbon special, in my opinion, there was kind of a big gap between those two. The S812 was a fantastic subwoofer, don't get me wrong, but it was fairly shocking what a different driver, a larger cabinet, and slightly different amplifier tuning did in that carbon special. It was worth every penny more that it cost compared to the standard S812. So if the new S850 can get us fairly close to the outgoing carbon special, that would be remarkable. That would be excellent, and that's what I want to find out. So that's the one I'll be reviewing. I think you had one other question, CAF reference ones. Dude, I don't know what it is, but and I'm not the only reviewer like this. I've gotten messages from other reviewers that have said they're not getting responses from CAF. I don't know why. It seems like they may have taken a bit of a step back from working with reviewers from one reason or another. It seemed like it all started around the time Joe Intel reviewed the new KC92. He didn't review it positively. His plate amplifier was making some noise, and, rightfully so. He called that out. But after that, I know my own communication with Kef really, started to be reduced, and other people reported the same things. I had other reviewers ask me if I could help them get back in contact with Kef, and I did try, but I didn't get a reply. It could also simply just be that they're busy and they didn't see my email, guys. I don't want to start rumors here, right? I don't know, but my communication has slowed down quite a bit. There's just, I've said this before, when my emails go unanswered, I don't take it personally, but there are so many brands that communicate well with me that, and I'm so busy, having a full-time job outside of this YouTube channel, that I can't chase down the guys that for one reason or another, aren't communicative or aren't quick to reply, right? I just can't chase people. Guys, before I move on to the next comment, give me a second. I got to turn on my AC. I totally forgot to do that. All this talk and your boy gets a little warm. I don't want to get all sweaty. You guys are going to think I'm crazy, but I normally, if I look like I got in my seat weird, this chair, you can only get in it in a certain way. It's a saddle. There's no back, and it's like you can like wobble on it. It's supposed to like strengthen your core. Anyways, I keep my home at 76 normally. Yeah, I know that's warm for a lot of people, but my AC hits so hard. It's insane. 76 in here feels like 73, 74 at other people's house. But when I do these live streams or when I'm filming, I turn that bad boy down sometimes to like 68, 69 because all the talking gets you hot. All right, where's the next question? Hey, Serge. Serge says, what's up, brother? Glad I'm getting notified now. Hey, Serge, happy to see you in here, my man. Diddy Roo says, also, you were on the right track. The wood grill for Series S is an optional purchase, and they are going back to the older, shorter, but wider cabinets design they used before. Awesome. Diddy, I'm curious, how did you find out that wood grill is optional? Because I'm just guessing. And the reason I guessed that was the case is I would just imagine that those things are more expensive to make, and it wouldn't make sense to include this like more expensive item with the subwoofer if it's going to be polarizing, right? So I'm curious, maybe did Rel make a video about that, or how do you know that? You got more up-to-date information than I do. If anyone's wondering, this cup is containing, I chipped it. This cup does contain a mix of Waterloo, strawberry sparkling water, half, ice, water the rest of the way. Fantastic combination. Still no reply from Waterloo Sparkling Water sponsoring Nemo propaganda. Still no reply from the people at LaCroix, but it's okay. All right. Serge says, I see Eversolo making the rounds with their new T8 digital transport. I'm using their DMP A6 as a transport only, but looking to upgrade. Would you even bother? Bro, I don't like Eversolo, so I'm not the best person to ask. Straight, I'm biased. I don't like them, and I have to admit that. I don't have like any beef with them. I didn't have a bad experience with them. In fact, they were very nice. They were very courteous. It's just I found out one of the people at the top of Eversolo is a brand that I have blacklisted and will not work with. Because I believe they have deceptive marketing practices. This is a brand that has used bots. I've caught them using bots in the YouTube comments section to try to drum up artificial excitement for their products. This is a brand who another reviewer has caught having a reviewer as an employee, right? So this guy's on W-2 payroll for these guys. And publishes independent reviews, right? And hella like pushes their stuff. He's like a small no-name reviewer, so it's not like a huge deal, right? But like that's shady. That is super shady. Like how mad would you guys be if you found out I was a W-2 employee for say Emotiva or Polk or Klipsch, and I didn't tell you guys that, and I was reviewing a ton of these products, right? So one of the owners in Eversolo, I'm not saying Eversolo does this, but one of the owners, his main company does those kinds of deceptive marketing. So they're blacklisted with Nemo Propaganda. And if he's partnering Eversolo, then I don't fuck with Eversolo either. Does that mean their products are bad? No. It doesn't mean their products are bad, but it does mean I don't fuck with them, so I'm biased. And because I'm biased, I should not review their products. I did not know that when I reviewed their DMP A6, which is ironic because I still didn't love the DMP A6 a whole lot. I did not feel like it was an upgrade compared to the kind of standard Blue Sound node. It was certainly more beautiful, and its user interface was a big step up, no doubt about that. But its build quality I felt was a little cheap feeling, and the sound quality I felt was just right below the Node 2i. But I didn't know that when I reviewed the DMP A6, but now that I know that, I won't review their products because Eversolo is now also blacklisted. So, yeah. And again, it's nothing personal. It's nothing personal. Everyone has a right to run their business how they want. And I have a right to run my YouTube channel how I want and decide who I fuck with and who I don't. And if you like Eversolo, I don't want to stop you from that. I don't want to dissuade you from that. If you're a fan of the brand, you know what I would say? This is my advice. Try to demo it. See if you could demo it. I would imagine their website sells it with some kind of in-home trial. Give it a whirl. And if you like it, buy it. And if you don't, you can send it back risk-free, I'd imagine. You know, check their terms and conditions, of course, right? But that'd be my advice. I got to move over an inch. Hold on, guys. My microphone arm is like at max extension. Okay. Now I'm like off center, damn it. Got to move the camera a little bit. Back to center a little bit. Okay. So, sorry for the rant. You know what I mean? I try to be as transparent as possible. And I know some of you guys are like, hey, how come you didn't mention that other brand? It's not my place to tarnish other people's reputation. It's not. If someone presses me, you know, I have no problem responding publicly. Like if that other brand like tried to get in my face about it, then yeah, I will blow the lid off just to be like, fuck you. Because in my opinion, it's a courtesy that I keep my mouth shut. It's just a professional courtesy. But if anyone if I'm like quiet about something, but I have a strong opinion, then you could tell it's because I have more information that I don't think should be publicly shared out of respect or whatever, mutual respect, if you will. If the person or company presses me out, that courtesy will go out the window. I have my limits, you know. Looks like Serge is responding. Oh no, he's adding. He's saying, well, you know, if you want to squeeze every bit of performance from a system, you know, Serge, it depends. Sometimes the next model up in a product is a very small upgrade, right? Sometimes it's a big upgrade. Consider, you know, when you go from a Rel T7X, I'm sorry, a Rel T5X to a T7X, on paper, it doesn't look like a huge upgrade. You're not getting a whole lot more power. It's still, they're both 8-inch subs. The T7X just adds a passive radiator and a larger cabinet, but oh my goodness, what a difference. It is such a difference, right? So sometimes it is a big difference. Look, sorry guys, I moved too much to the right. I got to move to the left now. Getting like dialed perfectly, I don't know how Andrew Robinson does his live stream so perfectly. He is just more professional than me. You don't see him getting up because he forgot to turn on the AC. You don't see him getting up to adjust his chair, but I guess that's the difference between a professional and, let's say, Nemo Propaganda is a non-professional. Now I feel like I'm too much to the left. Fuck my life. This is my slight OCD getting the better of me, guys. Everyone's got a little bit, I think. Svalbard, what's up, man? I always love to see you in the comments. This is a long-time viewer of the channel. I appreciate you. He says, Nemo on the streamo. If you're sick from traveling, I can tell you that line from Die Hard. Die Hard, great movie. About fists with your toes. Oh, my God. I remember that. Jesus Christ. It doesn't work. Get yourself some Czech aspirin, next level aspirin. Like from the Czech Republic, they make different aspirin out there, or is that a brand? And if it is from the Czech Republic, what's different about it? And is it the Czech Republic or is it Czechoslovakia? I can't remember. I know the name changed at one point. So sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Sean O says, hey man, gotta ask, how does the live UDAC Mini do with metal? I feel like we talked about this. Already, you and me. Maybe someone else asked. Just ordered one and waiting. Is the break-in time long? Honestly, I did not experience any break-in time. If there was break-in, it must have been subtle enough and perhaps over a long enough period of time that I just naturally adapted to it without realizing it. Perhaps if I auditioned and just brand new out of the box against mine that has hundreds of hours on it, maybe I would notice a difference. Or maybe it just doesn't have break-in. In my experience, not all products break in. Electronics, in my experience, tend to be the products that don't really break in. R2R DACs do need to warm up. So if you plug it in out of the box and you're like, okay, it's good, and you leave it on, you leave it plugged in, then you come back, say in 2-3 hours after you're letting your system play, or just it's sitting there and you're like, oh my God, it sounds so much better now, it's broken in. No, it's just warmed up. And in my opinion, a lot of products do sound better warmed up, not just R2R DACs and tube amps. Subwoofers. If you're the type that turns your subwoofer off when you're not using it, your plate amp is cold. And I've tested this hundreds of times. Subwoofers always sound better after they've been on for about an hour. If you don't believe me, test it. It is free for you to test it. Leave your subwoofer on. Stop turning it off. And I won't be surprised if one of the things you experience is, yo, what the hell? Why is my subwoofer louder? Oh, maybe the cleaning lady bumped it when she was cleaning it. Maybe one of my kids turned it up. You'll think you've turned it up a little bit. It will play louder. The bass reach and depth will be more pronounced, and it will have a larger sense of scale. It's really interesting stuff. I've talked to a few engineers about it, and they have confirmed. They're like, yeah, that's a real thing. So I leave all my amps on. I leave all my gear on. But to answer your question, Sean, I listen to a lot of metal, and I think the UDAC is great. I think it's fantastic. It's not going to fix really bad metal. It's not a DAC that fixes anything. Very few DACs fix anything, like poor recordings. So like an example of really like poorly recorded metal would be like any 90s Japanese rock or Japanese metal. Oh my God, they really embrace that garage sound. It's just screechy no matter what. But more like modern metal that's well recorded, like All That Remains, fantastic. Arch Enemy, fantastic. Sounds great. Sounds great. I love it. Tyler Cheeseman says, Sean, my experience with the UDAC is that it is wonderful with metal. To be fair, it has been great with all genres. Yeah, I'd agree with Tyler. The micro DAC, I know I keep calling it the UDAC. It's mu DAC, actually, and mu is micro. In Greek, Latin, I can't remember. Yeah, I agree. It's not a genre specific DAC. It does great with everything. Feliciano says, yo, what's up, Feliciano? Another long-time viewer. Diddy Roo says, for the wood grill being optional, it says in the fine print on their website, I'm in the industry, so I also hear stuff through the grapevines early. But the stuff's not even listed on their website, Diddy. I'm going to go back to, I'm going to check again. I'm going to check their website again because I was just on there. Maybe it's like in the news section. Let's see. Learn and explore. News and updates. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. There's an article, but it doesn't say anything about the grill. Maybe there's some fine print somewhere I'm not seeing, but Yeah. Either way, cool. I mean, I think it looks great on the black model. That wood slat grill. I really like it on the black. On the white, I'm not 100% sold yet. I'm not sold yet. We'll see. Oftentimes, how a product looks in pictures and how it looks in person can be very different. So I would urge all to hold your judgment until we start seeing these things in person. It's a lot like the logos. So many people complain about the logos on the Rel T7X or the T9X. Those are people that, in my opinion, haven't really seen one in person, because in product photography, when there's 5,000 watts worth of LED lights on the product, those logos are going to pop. Yeah. When it's in the home, in the room, on the floor, those logos become very subtle, very subtle. Even on my Carbon Special that has a black chrome logo on top of it, that logo becomes very subtle once it's on the floor. You know, like how often are you on your hands and knees? Even if you're standing right next to it and you're not very tall, your eyes are still like 5 feet away from it. It's on the floor. You're standing up most of the time. Serge, I'm not really like the digital expert. My curiosity in finding like a good high value digital solution stopped with the Blue Sound node, using the LHY power supply upgrade. For me, that was more than adequate. I didn't feel the need to upgrade beyond that. That just gets the job done. And based on a lot of people I've talked to, they feel like you need to get into the $2,000 plus category to beat that. And these people are like hi-fi dealers that sell these more expensive streamers. Feliciano says, tell you what. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Diddy says, unfortunate to hear about the KEF communication. They have also gotten worse with integrators recently and made the accommodations worse. Oh, okay. No, I'm not going to Cedia. I, for the most part, only do Axpona. Yeah, I only go to Axpona. Oh, Ancient Aliens is saying, who's the main brand that's blacklisted? Then he said, never mind. I'm guessing you were probably backed up and you were catching up. Yeah. You know, like I said, if I get pressed, if they challenge me publicly, yeah, I'm not going to hold back. That courtesy is going to go away. But until then, like it's not my job to play like judge, jury, and executioner, right? I'm not like this bleeding deacon that's here to save everyone and like, look at me, I'm such a good guy. Those are bad people over there. Like that's not my role here. And I don't love when people do that either. I think it can be in bad taste. Let the audience decide, right? Let the buyer beware. It's a free market economy. Everyone has the right to like what they like, trust who they trust, and believe whatever they want to believe, you know. R2D2 wants me to review the Sonos Faber Soneto 2 Gen 2. I don't have any relationship with Sonos Faber. I've never communicated with them. I don't know how to even get a review sample from them. Maybe in the future that will change. Nemo Propaganda is still a small YouTube channel at the end of the day. My average videos generate about 5,000 views. While that is quite a bit, 5,000 people, you know, if I had a product and someone said they could get it in front of 5,000 people, I'd be like, that's a lot of people. But in today's world of, you know, TikTok videos that hit, you know, millions and millions of views, a lot of these advertisers or marketing people can be a little bit disconnected and view a channel like mine as not worth their time, which is fine. No hard feelings. Everyone has a right to decide how they spend their marketing dollars. And while I don't charge any fees to review the product, there is still cost involved with sending me a review sample. They got to ship it to me. They got to have it shipped back to them. I don't pay the return shipping. I even make them schedule a pickup, you know? And then now they have an item that is used technically. They've taken a brand new unit out of inventory that can no longer be sold at full MSRP. So that's most likely going to maybe make its rounds, maybe be given to a dealer as a dealer demo unit. Sonus Faber doesn't sell B stock products, right? So that's one unit just taken out of inventory. So it's up to them. If it's not worth it for them, that's fine. Raymond says, hello from Latvia. What's up, Raymond? Nice to see you in here. I like seeing people in here from other countries. It's super cool. Oh, give me a second here, guys. I'm getting a little fatigued from the sickness. I might have to start talking a little bit more calmly. R2D2 says the woofer is warm. Oh, they're talking about the Sonus Faber. Feliciano says you're a pro. Thank you, bro. He also has an assistant. Oh, I think you're referring to Andrew Robinson. I know Christy helps him a lot. You know what I mean? They're kind of like a 2-person team, and I'm sure that support is helpful, but he is more prepared than I am at minimum. I think we could all admit that. Svalbard says, sorry, responding late to your question about Czech aspirin. Yes, I mean from Czech Republic. Throw it in water with some emergency and it'll disintegrate into flakes. Okay, I'll look into that. Bebop says he has Xavian Perla Exclusiva from Czech. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. Sean says, right on. Thank you, Nemo. And Tyler, appreciate the insight. Didi Roo says that page has the fine print. Bro, I'm going to go back. That page had nothing on it. I'm going to go back. Am I that blind? Learn and explore. News and updates. New Series S line coming soon. This is all it says. This is the introduction of Series S. This is the biggest, baddest Series S we've ever produced. What Series S is to us is the core essence of our line. This is the kind of heart of REL. These are the best S's in every word. They play louder, they go deeper, they hit faster, they hit harder. Experience the new Series S. That's all it says. There's no fine print. That's it. Yeah. Maybe what you're referring to might have been like an email thing, like from their email list. That or they might have updated the link. Who knows? But either way, I believe you. I believe you, and thank you for sharing that. That is good to know. All right, where did I leave off? Captain says, "Hey Nemo, how can I donate to you?" You don't have to donate, man, but like anyone who has like really strong feelings for that, on any of my videos, there's like a thanks button, like a super thanks button. You can also use the super chat feature on YouTube, but you need to have like a card on file to do that. Outside of that, I don't charge money for my Discord. I don't have a paid Patreon, and I don't share a PayPal link. It's not that I don't like money. I like money quite a bit. And I'm not strongly opposed to monetizing my channel in the future, but I don't know if I want that money to be given to me from the audience, if that makes sense. But if people want to, they're free to, Captain, I have reviewed Vanity. I have the Transparent Zero Plus. Very good. Unfortunately, the review only got 2,000 views, which is really low. It's like one of my worst performing videos in years. So I decided not to review any more Vanity speakers, but I've heard a few of them there. It's a very good speaker. It's a great powered speaker. I thought it was very good. I don't know why the audience didn't like it, but again, very few views. Peter says, Nemo, been looking at the Unico for a while. I usually hear great things, but I've heard of peer reviews that they say things fall apart even when the volume goes up. So if you want, I'm not the loudest volume listener, but guess what? The Unico is still a small amp and it doesn't have tremendous power. It's capable in a small room, in my opinion, but if you want, there is an amp that sounds almost identical to the Unico and just simply offers up a lot more power. And I'll tell you what that is. Give me a second. I got to look it up. Let me hop over to my email because a dealer sent it to me. So I'd like to at least, you know, mention them. Okay, their page is loading. No, it's for a different product. But it's a Vincent amp, okay? You may have seen it in the background of some of my more recent videos. Maybe it is this one. Nope, it's not that one. It is a little bit more expensive, but not by much. I believe the Unico Primos are selling for, on average, about $2,500 now. This amp is $29.99, and I have heard through the grapevine the Unico Primo is being discontinued as it is not, unfortunately, in today's world, it's just simply not profitable. And it's been in the market for a very, very, very long time, you know, just a very long time. So, okay, look, I'm just going to go on Vincent's, God, you know what? I'm just going to go on, jeez, I hate to do this, but I have to go on a different dealer's website to find it. Sorry, guys. Vincent Audio SV228 hybrid integrated amplifier. It comes in black, it comes in silver, it has VU meters and 180 watts into 4 ohms, 100 watts into 8 ohms. It's a larger amplifier. It has a much larger toroidal transformer. So if you want the sound of the Unico Primo, slight step up. I'd say it's a slight improvement in some areas. But tonally, it's nears makes no difference. It's damn near identical, but it offers tremendously more grunt and power reserves, and you're going to have a lot more headroom. So you may want to look at that again. That's the Vincent Audio SV228. Peter says, I know it's in your stack, so what's your experience with it? It's not in my stack. I don't have the Unico Primo anymore. That was a review sample provided by Fidelity Imports. Great guys over there. And after the review, you know, I sent it back, but I did have it here, you know, for about 60 or 80 days or so. Peter saying, you know, it's a high current amp, so it shouldn't fall apart at high levels. So Peter, remember, you know, the words like loud or big output, they're going to mean different things to different people. Room size is a big factor as well, how far away you sit. If you've got like a 10 by 12 room, I'd imagine the power of the Unico Primo should be fine. In a large room, you know, listening habits, music choice, what kind of speakers are you pairing with, these things all matter. They all matter. I'd say for being rated at about 80 watts a channel, the Unico Primo should be enough power for most people, but with harder to drive speakers in rooms on the larger side of medium and certain listening habits, like guys who listen to classical, for example, like it loud. Those guys tend to like 95 dB plus, and in a room that's medium and up, a lot of 80 watt amps might start to reach their limit. You know, that's why there are amps that are 150 watts, 200 watts, 300 watts or more. The Unico Primo is still a relatively small amplifier. It's not very large. It's not very expensive, but that Vincent SV228 that's going to be what you're going to want to look at instead if that's a concern for you, my man. Svalbard says he bought the Vanna 2T0 as well. Really good to near field for the price. Yeah. Also, he says the Cambridge sub 201 integrates great. Nice. Mark says, hey, Nemo, hope you recover soon. Thank you, Mark. So here's the question. Do you run your speakers full range and then bring the sub from 40 hertz and below, or tend to cross over higher? I run my speakers full range. Yeah, I don't like high pass. I understand why people do it. If let's say you've got a speaker like the Bucard S400 and you like to listen loud, compact bass heavy speakers rarely can play tremendously loud. You may want to high pass it and let a subwoofer handle the bass region. You're going to get a lot more volume out of something like the Bucard S400 that way. That same can be said about any like bass monster compact speaker, right? And it will make the mid-range a little thinner, and many people interpret that as a more open sound. So like if your amps aren't bringing a lot of expansiveness in the mid-range and you've got a really, bass heavy speaker, I could see high pass sounding better to some people. My amps add a lot of expansiveness in the mid-range already. I don't need to thin out my speakers to create the illusion of expansiveness or clarity. But if someone else does need to do that, no hate, that's okay. But no, I don't high pass my speakers. I run them full range. And as you suggested, yeah, I'm usually at about 40 hertz on my crossover, sometimes lower depending which speakers I'm using. Sometimes a little higher, right? If I'm using the Zoo Methods, for example, those don't do a lot below 100 hertz. I'll go higher, as high as about maybe 60 hertz, but I'm almost never above 60 hertz though. I'm a big believer in subwoofer crossovers should be as low as possible. Peter says, yeah, the SV228, got it. It's the dynamism I'm after. Yeah. You know what to do. That's the one you want to keep your eye on if you want that sound, but you need more headroom. CC says, what's coming up on your channel, Nemo? Let me drink some water. Hold on. So because I've been sick for the entire month of August, I can't hear properly. So the next few videos are going to be some comparison videos I made based on stuff I've already reviewed, just gear I had laying around. And I'm calling this like a cheap versus expensive series, right? So I grabbed a cheap speaker I had laying around and something that's maybe like $500 or $1,000 more, and I just compare them to each other. So it's cheap versus expensive, So for example, one of them might be like the, what's it called? Maybe like I'll do like, I've already recorded them. I just can't remember like what I did. But for example, one might be like the Philharmonic Ceramic Mini at $900 is the cheap speaker versus a Bucard S400 Mark II. That's $2,400. That's the expensive speaker. What can you expect, right? So I've got 3 of those videos filmed, and those are going to be your next few releases. Everything that's released all this month was pre-recorded content also, because I can only hear out of one of my ears at any given time. Like when I'm listening right now, I'm still listening to music for fun, but like, dude, my center image is either like that way or that way. And because one of my ears is always like completely clogged. I mean, you could hear like I'm nasally, So until then, you're going to have a few cheap versus expensive speaker comparisons. I do need to review the Martin Logan Dynamo 10. I have that in for review. Frustrating situation. When I requested it, it was $9.99 and now it's $11.99. That seems to be the theme this year. There's been a lot of products that I review them and then the price goes up a little bit before I can even publish my video. It is what it is. It's still a good sub. I think at $9.99, it was a really easy recommendation for a lot of people. At $11.99, I think it's not that it's not worth it necessarily, but you're going to want to just really pay attention to everything I say in the video. And for the right customer, it's definitely still going to be worth it. But at 1,200, it becomes a situation where, hey, some other options might be a better fit for you depending on what you're looking for, or the Dynamo 10 may be the perfect option for you depending on what you're looking for, right? R2D2 says, Nemo, you might not realize it, but you actually helped me set up my stereo system. Thanks for everything you do. Wishing you all the best. Nice, man. I'm happy to hear that, dude. My whole goal when I started this channel, guys, was like help people stop obsessing over what they're going to buy. Help people just stop the obsession part of the hobby, where we start to get a little chip on our shoulder. We start to get too methodical, too technical, too OCD. Try to reduce that so that we can all get back to just enjoying the sound. That's why I try to just help people make a buying decision, you know? Capucci, Maine, that's a great name. Wow. He says he's got the Vincent SV 237 Mark II and he's been loving it. Awesome. He also says he has it paired with the Odeon Audio Midas speakers. Hefe, no, I don't know if that's your name or if it's just Jeff E, but I'm going to call you Hefe. I have not reviewed the Vincent 228. No. Is that the one I have? Yeah, that's the one I have in for review. I haven't reviewed it yet. Again, I need to wait for my hearing to get back to usual. You know what I mean? I did listen to it a good amount before I got sick, but I'm not finished. I'm not finished with my listening impressions. But it's a great amp so far. I will review it as soon as I can, you know. Need more water here, guys. Give me a second. Guys, don't forget to like the video, the stream. It helps the YouTube algorithms recommend it to more people. This is kind of how that works. I think there's only 24 likes so far. I don't care about the likes. It doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't make me happy or nothing, but it lets more of my subscribers know that this stream is happening is all. Oh, man. Well, doesn't look like there's any more questions. It's been about an hour. I'm going to take a toot, and then I might start rambling about something that's on my mind. Dean says, thank you for your recommendations on the HP2A. Oh, the live preamp. He says it sounds really good. Nice, bro. I'm glad you're loving it. You know what I mean? It's such a beautiful preamp and almost a no-brainer for anyone that owns the Harmony DAC. That stack just looks so freaking beautiful together, and it's a fantastic preamp. My only worry about that preamp is I worry some people are going to skip it thinking it's just a headphone amp, which it's not. It is a preamp. It just has a built-in headphone amp as a feature, but it is primarily a high quality and high performing preamp. Svalbard says, have you ever heard EPOS speakers? I have not. Let's look them up. You know my rule. They got to be good looking. I like good looking speakers. So I know EPOS makes like contact center headsets. Maybe this is a different company. EPOS loudspeakers from Germany. Yes. I accept your essential cookies. Kind of got that MoFi look a little bit. Look kind of like the source points. I don't know if this is for me, bro. Let me look at their products. I hate it when companies do this. You click the products drop down, ES7N, ES14N, ES28N. No one knows what the fuck that is. This is an obscure brand. Make your fucking website say fucking bookshelf speakers, floor standing speakers, fucking subwoofers. Give us fucking categories. God, Nothing pisses me off more than when a website does this. Nobody knows who the fuck you are, EPOS. No one knows what the ES7N is or ES14N. I gotta just click through these motherfuckers randomly. So the ES7N is a bookshelf speaker. Looks like a two-way front ported, maybe a three-way. I can't tell. It's a two-way. Yeah, that aesthetic is just not for me. Let's look at the other one, ES14N. Okay, that's another bookshelf. A lot of angular cuts on that one. That is another one. The look is just not for me. I'm not opposed to reviewing it. I might review the 14N if they were to reach out to me. And so the last one's probably a tower, I'd imagine. Let's see, ES28N. That really looks like the Django speakers, or by Martine, or kind of like a source point, a little bit. I don't review towers, so it don't matter to me, but. Thrall says he's asking because he's seen a couple comparisons vids, and people say they sound good. Yeah, I mean, most products are good these days. They're just a little too ugly for me. Dean says, yeah, he almost skipped the live HP2A because so many people online are only emphasizing the headphone amp. Yeah. Yeah, man, it's not a headphone amp. It has a great headphone amp built in, but it is a preamp first and foremost, right? It's weird. Sometimes viewers get confused. Like for a long time, believe it or not, I would get a lot of people referring to the Blue Sound Node as a DAC. People would be like, hey, how I'm thinking about buying an Aries or a Blue Sound Node. Which DAC is better? And I'm like, what? The Blue Sound Node is a streamer. It's not a DAC. It has a DAC built in. Yes, it needs a DAC to be built in to function properly. But it is not a DAC. It's a streamer. Like that comparison doesn't even make sense, right? Dean says he's considering getting the live GAN monos now, hoping to catch a secondhand pair on the marketplace. You know what you could try doing? This is just a thought, Dean. Because Live is still a small company, they may be open to doing this. There's no chance this would work with like Kef or Polk or Klipsch. But email Live and tell them, hey, I would like to buy a pair of your GAN M monos, but they are out of my budget. I'm a fan. I have the preamp. And I am asking if you can consider just keeping my information, and when it's time to retire one of your review samples that is open box that the reviewers have been using, if you would be willing to maybe sell that to me with some kind of open box discount. I'm not saying they'll say yes. I don't know what they'll say, but maybe they will say yes, right? Because what to do with these open box review samples sometimes is a challenge for these smaller brands, because sometimes they like Live doesn't sell B stock. They don't have a section on their website where they sell open box products, right? So their only hope of what to do with those open box products is if a reviewer is like, I'll buy it, right? So that's what I would do if I were you. And I think you've got at least a 50% chance that they may say something like, yeah, actually, we have a review pair that's on its way back to us. And we were planning on retiring it, and we maybe will sell it to you at some kind of discount, you know? Give me a second. I'm just catching up on the comments, guys. Dean says, great idea. He's going to do that. Yeah, it's worth asking, right? Closed mouths don't get fed. Pablo Damas says, hey, Nemo, I don't believe you're a floor standing guy. Correct. But have you heard the newer ELAC debut 3.0 DF63? I have not. I've heard the bookshelf speakers at a show. They were fantastic. And you know what's ironic about that? I just emailed my contact at ELAC this morning like, hey, I need to review the DB63. A lot of people are asking me about it. But I haven't heard the towers, no. They're probably good. They're probably good, you know, but Serge says, not that I'm fitting to get rid of my Rhythmic E15 HP2s, but what's next? What do you mean? Like, what am I reviewing next for subwoofers? Just the Martin Logan Dynamo 10. I have in for review. The new Rel S850 should be on its way to me. I don't have a lot. I've already reviewed most of the subwoofers, guys. I originally was primarily like a subwoofer reviewer, so I've made my way through a lot of them. Most of the ones that are left now are subwoofers made by speaker companies, and I've been a little apprehensive to review those because oftentimes they're a bit of an afterthought and they're not as good as the subwoofers made by subwoofer companies. But that's not always the case. You know, Martin Logan's a speaker company, and their Dynamo 12 really impressed me. It was phenomenal, right? Oh. Slippin' Dixon says, wait, let me make sure I didn't skip anyone. Okay, I didn't. Do you have any recommendations for a good set of front-ported bookshelf speakers, 2K and under? Why they got to be front-ported? Maybe, I'm guessing you've probably noticed in your room front-ported speakers perform better, maybe, I guess. But, you know, Slippin' Dixon, I'm not the greatest when someone just asks me for an open-ended recommendations. Where I can be most helpful is where people tell me, hey, I'm considering buying item A, item B, or item C. What are the differences? Or what do you think? Or, you know what I mean? I can generally help more with that because, like, I don't know what country you're in. I don't know what's available out there. Let me hop over to my playlist for speakers around that price range and just see quickly if any of them are front vented. Most of the $2,000-ish speakers are not front vented, I believe, but let me check. I would like to know why you need it to be front vented. If bass is a problem, how about sealed? How about $2,000-ish speakers that aren't bass monsters that can get closer to a wall, right? Like there could be other solutions besides it has to be front vented is what I'm suggesting. All right, where's that damn playlist? Here's the playlist. View the playlist. What do we got in here? All rear vented. Yeah. Or there's like the Fine Audio F500 SP that's bottom vented. That can get really close to a wall. There's the ATC SCM11 that's sealed. That can get really close to a wall. Triangle Comet 40th is front vented. That speaker does not love to get loud though. That is a speaker that is ideal for low volume listeners. You're like a 75 dB maximum kind of guy. You know, you're going to be using your 4, 5, 6, 8 watt tube amps, intimate listening space, and you understand the Comet doesn't have a ton of bass. The Triangle Comet 40th is going to be a consideration for you. And again, Fine F500 SP and ATC SCM11. And again, do keep in mind, this is without me knowing your taste. This is without knowing if this is for theater or for music or your listening habits. I'm just answering your question with a little bit of information that I have. Pandemonium says, I'm a late night low volume listener. I'm looking for a speaker that will have high detail at low volume. Considering Klipsch Forte 4s, then you reviewed the Platimons. You like them. Thoughts? I haven't heard the Forte 4s, but a lot of those big Klipsch speakers that are high sensitivity are considered low volume champions. I just wouldn't know how they compare against the Platamon. The Platamons are a low volume champion though, and they can also get tremendously loud. I believe the same is true for the clip speakers you're referring to. I couldn't tell you how they compare. You know, if I had to guess, I'd imagine the Platamon are much more resolving, and I would guess, again, just guessing, the Platamons are a lot more refined and a lot more of a higher end sound. Again, just a guess. Philip says, does Unison Research sample anything else out to review besides the Primo? They have a lot of gear, but that's the only one you hear about. I don't know. My review sample came to me from a distributor, Fidelity Imports, and if I would have asked for a different Unico, they would have sent, a different Unison Research product, they would have sent that. I tend to review the products I get asked about, and I tend to review the products that are within my audience's price range. You know, so I chose the Primo. I think what tends to happen sometimes is like us reviewers see a product as getting a lot of hype. So we get curious about it and we choose it because we want to know what it's all about, right? That's one of the reasons I chose the Unico Primo. I wanted to hear one. I was like, man, for years, people have said this thing's good. I want to hear one, you know? Yeah, Slippin' Dixon says boundary issue. Yeah, so the three speakers I suggested solve that problem. You don't need front vented necessarily. You could do sealed. You could do down vented. You could just simply pick a speaker that, you know, doesn't have a lot of bass, like the Focal Aria Evo X. I don't know if the Evo X doesn't have a lot of bass. I'm more thinking the previous model, Aria 906. There are, you know, speakers in that price range that, you know, don't have a ton of bass. Also on the much more affordable side, there's the Zoom Method, which I do like quite a bit, but not everyone is going to love it. It is a very colorful speaker. I'm reading the comments. Give me a second, guys. Serge says that's great advice. Asking smaller companies if you could buy review samples that may be, you know, entering retirement soon. He says he did that for a company with a phono stage and got a killer deal. Good job, Serge. Good job. Serge also asks, what's next as in an upgrade path? What's substantially better than the Rhythmic? I'm guessing you're asking specifically about what's better than your E15 HP2s. Not a lot. That's a great sub. Not a lot's better. There are subs that will give us, once we get to this level of excellence, there's better in some categories, but you're going to trade something for that. Example, my Carbon Specials have a little bit more speed, a little bit more precision than the E15 HP2. They have clearer note-to-note distinction. They have more bass texture. But, the E15 HP2 has so much more headroom than my Carbon Special. The E15 HP2 can handle, 18, 19 hertz with substantially more authority than my Carbon Special, right? And there's a big price difference there too, right? Because the E15 HP2 is already so good. If you want better, you got to dig into your wallet, man. That's the truth, right? So you're kind of at the maximum for not having to do a lot of trade-offs, If you had one, I'd say your next upgrade would be a pair, right? If you have a pair, consider getting two more and stacking them on top of the first two. That would be a considerable upgrade. That would be insane. I hope that answers your question. Slip says, can speakers with passive radiators be close to walls? Kind of, not really. So speakers with passive radiators, we're basically talking about the Bucard S400 or P300. P300 cannot get close to a wall. P300 needs a lot of space, actually. Way more space than the S400 even. The S400 also needs a little bit of space, not as much as the P300, but you wouldn't want to jam it up all the way against the wall. You'd have substantial bass reinforcement that could muddy up the sound. And it's not because it's a passive radiator speaker, it's because it's a speaker with a lot of bass. In my opinion, port orientation, port design, whether it's front vented, rear vented, or passive radiator, that's not so much the issue. It's how much bass the speaker has, right? And the S400 has a good amount of bass, so you'd want to give it some space, maybe 24 inches, minimum, depending on the room, maybe 30 inches. I think I'm around 32 front baffle to rear wall. Let me read through these comments some more. Cisco, I see you're doing some upgrades, but it doesn't look like you're asking me a question. That reads like more of a statement. But thank you for sharing. If you have a question, feel free to ask. CC, is there any new or recent products out there that you're very curious about? Not really. I'm not a very FOMO guy. I'm very grateful for what I have already. I already have a pretty insane system for my standards, I know there's guys that have amplifiers that cost more than my whole system, but my system is, I consider it extremely high end and very much a luxury purchase for me. I am of course curious about Rel's new subwoofers. I love Rel subwoofers, they always perform and they're so beautiful. So if anything, that's one I'm very curious about, and I am getting a review sample of the S850. Dean is asking me about JTR subwoofers. Dean, JTR does not send review samples to reviewers. They sell every unit they can produce. They are at maximum throughput. They don't need marketing, so they don't work with reviewers. I think they did some advertising with Audioholics, perhaps. I could be wrong. I'm not sure, but outside of that, they don't work with reviewers. I'd have to buy one to review it. I don't have any information on JTR. I'm sorry. I doubt it's an SQ sub, but I don't know. It's very difficult to make a large SQ sub. Very difficult. Very few brands know how to do it. Very few engineers have the ear for it, is the bigger problem. Cisco is asking about AVRs. I'm not a big AVR guy. I'm not a big theater guy. But based on reviews I've watched, I know the Onkyo RZ series seems to have a lot of love behind it, and I would suggest you consider that. What's up, Suwad? He says, can you review Dynaudio Contour Black Edition? I don't even know what that is. Let me look. Is that something new? That's interesting. What does this thing cost? It looks expensive. Let me see if I can find a price. Uses their magnesium woofer. That's nice. Guys, did you know Dyne Audio uses magnesium woofers? Big miss on their marketing department to just call it MSP. The M in MSP stands for magnesium. I would call it magnesium. That's way easier to understand for the average consumer. So they're $8,000 a pair, Suat. I could try. But a lot of the higher end Dyne Audio bookshelf speakers ship in a crate, and I cannot accommodate a crate. I have a 2-car garage and I own 2 cars. So there's nowhere for me to put a big wood crate. But here, you know what? I'll email my contact from Dyne Audio right now. Let's see what he says, you know? Let's see what he says. No, I'm not going to do it. It's probably a limited production thing. They don't need me to review it, you know? Where'd I leave off? Shoplin, what's up, man? Another longtime subscriber. Says he's got CSS 1TDXs with a waveguide. Love it. Love to hear your thoughts on it. Not for personal confirmation. I love it no matter what. Just love to know what you thought of it. Are you talking about the new CSS bookshelf speaker that looks kind of like the S400? I can ask them for a review sample of it. I love CSS speakers. The only reason I don't review more of them is the rest of them are towers. I don't review towers. They've asked me a couple of times and I almost did it, but I was like, guys, I'm sorry. I don't have the space in my garage to store boxes for towers, you know? But I love CSS. They make fantastic products, man. They're so good. Dean says, what do you use for TV movie watching? Do you have a dedicated room for music only? Yes, I have a dedicated room for music only. It's the room I film in, but there is a TV in there, LG OLED, so I certainly can use my main rig for watching TV shows, anime, movies, whatever I want. And I do that sometimes, but most of the time I'm up here in this room when I'm watching TV, right? Like right now I'm watching Foundation on Apple TV. I'm on season 3, been waiting for that. And here I have a Hagel H190 right there. I have the Supermon Minis by Mon Acoustics right there. And then behind the couch, I have a KEF KC62 subwoofer, and that's connected using a Rel HT Air wireless kit. And that's my whole system for up here, and it is fantastic. It is superior to using the TV speakers for damn sure, but of course it is not as amazing as my system downstairs. So essentially I use high-end 2-channel stereo for TV, for movies, right? Or 2.1 or 2.2. God, I can barely breathe. Craig says the optional Rel wood grill is on the click-through on the news page right above the video. Got it. Dean says, sorry, didn't realize you were just asked about AVRs. All good. Yeah, Suad, I saw that. He's saying the Black Edition Dyne Audios are an upgrade to the 20Is and they're $8,000. Serge was asking about subwoofer upgrades because he wants to make sure he doesn't have any bottlenecks. So Serge, my question to you is, what speakers do you have now? But yes, a pair of E15 HP2s, those could be run with $20,000 speakers, in my opinion. No problem. Pandemonium says, I really enjoyed your video about your take on home audio reviewers. It was a lot of fun. Thank you. Glad, dude. I'm glad you liked that. I know a few people got a little bit upset, you know, but that's okay. Just like I have a right to dislike some people, other people have a right to like those people, and that's totally okay, you know? Sorry, Sawat. Sawat got excited because I said I was going to email my contact at Dyne Audio, and then I said, never mind. Dean Lee says, how many black t-shirts do you have? I can actually answer that question. I have 12 in rotation that I wear, and then I have another 10 that are brand new, I've never worn, and that's how I run things. So, because what happens after washing them so many times, the black is not as deep as it once was. And at that point is when I retire them. I just throw them all away, and I grab, the 10 I have in inventory, and then I order 10 more for back stock. I'm not even kidding. You could do that, guys. There's no limit to how many things you can own. You want to know how much deodorant I have? I have 10 sticks of deodorant in inventory. Why wouldn't I? You think I want to go to the store every time I run out of deodorant? I have 5 tubes of toothpaste. I have 7 bottles of shampoo in backup. I keep this all, under the sink in my bathroom. Why wouldn't you hold inventory of these these things that are annoying to buy? Deodorant, shampoo, lotion, fucking soap, sponges, for your kitchen, right? Like I have 20 sponges. Why wouldn't you just buy a big pack on Amazon? It's so much easier. CC says, is the Foundation TV series any good? I got 2 answers for you, CC. In a vacuum on its own, if you're a sci-fi fan, yes, absolutely amazing show. Beautiful production quality, excellent show. Unfortunately, it was made during the era of hot women bad. So there's no attractive women in the show. And even the actresses that are in the show, they make them look a little bit not as attractive as they actually are. The main character is this black chick. And in the first 2 seasons, she looks very not that cute. But I looked her up. She's actually a very attractive woman. They just downplayed her aesthetics because for the past few years, a lot of these producers, whether it be in video games or movies, they tend to uglify these attractive women. I don't know why. Anyways, that aside, there's no political nonsense in there, right? In one direction or another. That was another trend we saw in a lot of TV and movies, and I hate that. So there's none of that. The show's great. Now, I've also read the books. So if you have also read the books, and if you're asking from the standpoint of a book reader, the show is still fantastic. It does, of course, depart from the books tremendously. That is very common. Very few series are going to be a one-to-one with the book. One of the only series I know that was very consistent from book to TV show was The Expanse. But even though the Foundation TV show is fairly different than the books, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's still fantastic. There are some gender swaps that happen that some may say that was a bit of a political move. Again, that was another thing that was popular these past few years, to gender swap characters in the name of female empowerment, if you will. But again, I'm okay with it. There's not any other political commentary in the show. It's a great show. I love it. I think it's so good. Shoplin says, yes, the one that looks like book art. I'll ask him for a review sample, bro, but one of the problems is if CSS only sells it as a kit, it means they don't have a box to send me a finished pair. And I only review finished speakers. So I'm not sure I can review that, but I'll try. Yeah, most CSS speakers are on the warmer side. Serge asked the $1 million question. What's the second car? Please say it's something nasty. Or it's a daily to give the Audi a break. No, my Audi S7 is my daily. The twin turbo V8, that's my daily. I'm a snob when it comes to cars. It is, Serge. It's something nasty. I got an Audi R8 V10. And yeah, it's a nasty bitch. Generation 2, of course. With the more modern interior and the digital dash, carbon fiber everywhere, inside and out. It's mostly stock right now. I do have the V10 Plus exhaust because mine is not the V10 Plus. The V10 Plus has a different tune on it. and slightly shorter gearing on the transmission. I got the non-plus because it was my friend's car and I was in the market, and I felt way more comfortable buying a car that I knew the history of. So I have the V10 Plus steering wheel that I just added. So I have the exhaust button now. I added magnetic paddle shifters. I have the V10 Plus exhaust, so it's just a little bit louder, but I could still listen to my audiobooks if I want to. It has Vorsteiner wheels on it right now. I don't love them. Yeah, it's a V10. It's a 5.2 liter V10 Middle Earth. And it revs to like 8,600 RPM, I believe. It's the same engine that's in the Lamborghini Huracan. So for those that don't know, the Audi R8 V10 Gen 2 and the Lamborghini Huracan are the same platform, right? The Lamborghini is obviously going to look different on the outside. It's going to have different aero, different body panels, different interior, different suspension, right? But the engine is the same, right? So yeah, those are all the mods I have on it right now. I did just order a carbon fiber lip, side skirts, rear diffuser, and X-brace, as well as a little bit more carbon fiber for the engine bay, for the coolant tank, and where the V10 logo is. Aside from that, the next step is to throw a tune on there, because this is something funny I learned. So the V10 and the V10 Plus. The V10 makes 540 horsepower. The V10 Plus makes 610 horsepower. Why? Does it have different cams? Does it have higher compression pistons? Is the engine any different? Nope. Does it have a different, is it the different exhaust system? Nope. Does it have different intakes? Nope. The fucking non-plus is just detuned. Audi made it so that the throttle bodies don't open all the way when you fucking floor it. So when you tune a non-plus V10, it jumps up to that 610 horsepower immediately, because all they do is remap fuel and ignition a little bit, but you're not going to get much gains from that, maybe 10 or 12 horsepower. And then they just make the throttle bodies open all the way like they're supposed to, and you get up to 620, 630 horsepower. So that's next. And then I want to upgrade the wheels. Even though it does have Vorsteiner wheels on it, they're one-piece wheels from their cast line. It's like they're cheap wheels. I want to get a set of maybe two-piece forged wheels on there, maybe one-piece forged monoblock. I'm not sure yet. Not going to do a wing. I prefer the wingless look, but that's what I got. And I fucking love it. It's fucking amazing. And for anyone wondering, no, it's not money from the YouTube channel. I've said it a million times. This channel generates like $300 a month, $300 a month in ad revenue. That's it. It doesn't even cover gas for my car. It doesn't even cover insurance. It's like, it doesn't even cover, it barely covers groceries for 10 days. And that's just, that doesn't even like, I don't even really, I guess at this point, I'm not in the red because I no longer buy stuff just to review it. But yeah, I don't want anyone to think like, damn, I should start a YouTube channel. I'll be able to buy R8 V10. Like, no, I'm a working professional by day. I have a very good job. It's very difficult to make money on YouTube, guys, especially if you don't use affiliate links, especially if you don't charge fees for your work and things like that, you know? Where did I leave off? Let's see. Svalbard says, bro, I spit my tea out when you said I got like 20 sponges. I'm going to need you to send me one of those for a clean cup. Bro, you think I'm playing? No, I was going to go grab them and prove it to you, but like, I'm sure you believe me. Like, yes. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? You know, I guess if you have a wife that does your grocery shopping, you know, and takes care of those home purchases, sure, let her handle that. But I'm a single guy. It's just me here. I have to do everything. So I do things in a way that are as easy as possible and as convenient as possible. I'm going to buy all that shit one day anyway. Why don't you just spend a little extra money, buy it all now? Serge says he's got the Rebel F22 BEs. Cool. Yeah, good speaker. You want to upgrade to the B&Ws? Just demo them first. Not everyone loves them. Some people love them. Some people feel they're overpriced, you know? It's got to be the sound you like. It's a little dry analytical to some people, but you might like that, especially if you have the 228 BEs. I would also suggest consider the Platimons. If you have the 228 BEs, you may love the Platimons. Middle Earth said, what's the displacement of the V10? I think I mentioned that as I was ranting. 5.2. Says nice. Just shot that email to live. Fingers crossed. Hell yeah, Dean. Good. Dean says, love the car talk, by the way. I've got an STI and a C6 convertible. Nice, nice. I've had 2 WRXs. I had an O2 bug eye that I still regret selling because it was the baddest sleeper. It was OEM Plus before OEM Plus existed. From the outside, completely stock, even the wheels. The suspension had KW variant 3s. I had a 16G turbo upgrade and was making 280 wheel horsepower on 91 octane. I had the STI top mount intercooler upgrade. I had sway bar upgrades. I can't remember at this point which sway bars I had. I had the JDM STI seats, which are way nicer than the US model ones. The interior was super clean. And for engine management, believe it or not, I was just using, back then this was normal, Apex Super Air AFC. And that was good enough. And the car was a total sleeper. Oh, and I had the Greddy Evo 1 exhaust. I fucking love that car. It was such a sleeper. It sounded so good. It was comfortable. It was quick. I should have never sold it. My other WRX was a 2015, and that was a fucking disappointment. The car just became so heavy, and they didn't really bump the power a whole lot. I threw every mod in the book onto that car, short of a turbo upgrade, because there wasn't one available at the time. I bought my 2015 WRX in 2015 when they had just launched. I had every mod on it. I'd spent like 10 grand. I had it tuned. It would not make more than 270 wheel, no matter what. And that car was a big disappointment, honestly. I don't like the 15 WRXs. The newer ones are hideous too. What year WRX STI do you have? I'm curious. C6 is a badass car, of course, too. Svalbard says, no, I get it. We have extra convection ovens in the garage because we go through like one a year and we just keep going up in price. You know what's funny, bro? I have a Toshiba one that, bro, it's good looking and it's been rocking with me for years. If you're in my free Discord, I can send you the Amazon link to it. Just DM me. Thank you, Serge. Svalbard says, I've got a fixed up 1968 Camaro RS with a 383 stroker. Nice. Nice. That's badass. I'm not, I love muscle cars, not in a way that I want to own one, but I love the way they look. I've driven a few of them and it's such a different experience. It's so raw. Like my buddy had a 65 Mustang with a 289 in it. And that's not even like super fast, but it's like, you feel like you're going so much faster. Big misconception a lot of people have with some of those older muscle cars. A lot of people think they're built from like iron and they're super heavy. They're not. They're made from cold rolled steel, which is a little bit heavier than modern alloys. But those cars did not have the sound deadening we have today. They didn't have the amounts of leather we have today. They didn't have the amounts of electronics and airbags we have today. A 65 Mustang is like a 2,800 pound car with a V8 in it. That's insane. Like the current gen Mustangs are about 1,000 pounds heavier, if not more. So those older cars are lightweight, man, and they scoot and they're raw. Dean says it's a 21 last year before they discontinued them. Let's see which body style that was. Okay, so same body style that my 2015 was before they made them super ugly. Good, because dude, the 22 forward WRXs are hideous, bro. They're so ugly. I don't know what they were thinking. I do not know what they were thinking. I hope you have it lowered. My only gripe about this generation WRX and STI, they are fucking hideous at stock ride height. Oh my God. They look so terrible at stock ride height. You lower them like 1.5 inches and it's just such a game changer. Such a game changer. So I hope you have it lowered. And wheels. and a tune. Sparl Bard says, yeah, it's got like a 4,500 RPM redline. It's carbureted crate engine, but all torque, and it's burly. Raw is a good descriptor. Yeah, I mean, you have a stroker engine. It's not designed to rev high. They make high revving V8s. I mean, you can get a more modern engine if you wanted something that would go to, say, 6,500 instead. But, I mean, you've got it period correct. I think that's cool. You know, not everything needs to be all modern and, you know, rev high or something. Like my S7 with its twin turbo V8, I think is like a 6,500 RPM redline. That's fine. That's enough. I mean, that thing is a torque monster. Like I barely tap the gas and it goes. It's actually a really interesting contrast going from the twin turbo V8 to the V10 because I still own both. Like I'm not selling the S7. I love that car. But every time I get back in it, I'm like, oh my God, the effortless torque of the twin turbo V8 is crazy. It's a lot like the effortless torque of like a big stroked out V8, which is what you have, you know. So, all right, guys. Well, it's been 96 minutes. This is around the time the stream tends to die out. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we go to about, because 96 minutes is about, what, that's an hour and 36 minutes. We usually go to about 2 hours. So I'm going to drink some water. We'll let you guys let some questions stack up. And we'll get back to it. And if no questions come in, you know, we'll call it a wrap, whatever. Been a good stream so far, though. We had some good questions. I wonder if I have anything from Amazon delivering today. Still don't see any questions. You guys can also ask me any questions. I don't really care what the question is. I always say you can even ask me personal questions. I don't care. It doesn't mean I'll answer them always, right? Like if someone's like, how much money do you make a year? Like you can ask that. I won't get upset, but I probably would not answer that, you know? But I'm into a lot of stuff, guys. I love science fiction, whether it's books or TV shows. You know, I invest in the stock market. I'm into that. I love cars, obviously hi-fi. You know what I'm saying? Svalbard says, did you see Andrew Robinson's Dream System video from earlier today? I saw it. I was going to watch it, but I knew I was going to do this stream, so I'm saving it for later. It's probably going to be one of the videos I watch after this live stream's over. Andrew Robinson is one of the few channels I do watch fairly consistency, not like every single one of his videos, but I do watch, I would say, more than half of them, which is quite a lot. Most reviewers don't watch a lot of other reviewers' content for one reason or another. We just, even if we like each other, like, you know what I mean? Like me and Zero Fidelity are friends. That fool barely watches my videos. I know he doesn't. Sometimes he will though. But like, I'll be like, did you watch the whole thing? And he's like, honestly, I only watched 2 minutes of it. He tells me the truth. But I know like Jay doesn't really watch my videos. You know what I mean? I'm sure Randy doesn't watch my videos. Like we're too busy like with our own content. You know what I'm saying? Sammy, what's up, man? Sammy says, hey, Nemo, why did you choose the rectangle bass trap? Jeez. Oh, sorry. Another comment came in. Let me get back to that, Sammy. Why did I choose the rectangle trap instead of the corner one? Sammy, that's a strange question because, Sammy, I think, Sammy, you did not watch my video on room treatment. I made a video on room treatment, Sammy. I own both. I do own the tri-traps as well. They're on the other side of the room. And the tri-trap is actually better. The rectangular ones I have are my old ones. And I do plan to upgrade them to match the 4 tri-traps I have on the back wall. It's just one of those situations where it's like, yes, the rectangle ones aren't as good and they don't look as good, but I already have them. So I might as well put them to use. And it's hard to want to spend the extra money upgrading to the tri-traps for the main wall when I already have traps there. Like at this point, it would be a very, because I have so many base traps already, it would be just a very small improvement in performance for me and more of a aesthetic upgrade, which I am here for. I love aesthetic upgrades, but if you saw earlier in the stream, I just bought a very expensive car and I'm, contrary to popular belief, not made of money. I do have my limits, you know what I mean? So right now, upgrading to tri-traps on the main wall would just be a little bit financially reckless of me, but I do own 4 of them that are on the back wall behind where I sit. If you watch my video about room treatment, you will see those. I hope that answers your question. Dean says, I know that you said floor standards are too big for like a review item, but are there any that interest you for personal use? No. No. I think, and some people may judge me for this. This comes down to aesthetics. I like the aesthetic look of bookshelf speakers on a speaker stand compared to floor standing speakers. Now, I also do understand that floor standing speakers technically, they should be better. In hi-fi, bigger is generally going to come with some upgrades. A bigger subwoofer will almost always sound more effortless than a small subwoofer. A big speaker has a better chance of being a low volume champion than a bookshelf speaker. There are some inherent benefits of size. So for those of you who don't care about the look necessarily, most people should be buying towers. There's a lot of inherent advantages to a larger speaker, right? And then some would say bookshelves have their advantages too, but as much as I love bookshelf speakers, if you were like put together a system, sound quality is the number 1 priority. Aesthetics just are not a factor. Towers, yeah. Of course. And now that's not to say a cheap tower will outperform a more expensive bookshelf speaker, right? But like a $30,000 tower should outperform a $30,000 bookshelf speaker, yeah. Dean says, do you recommend a mini DSP for 6 sub integration? Well, it depends. If you're doing like a 6-pack of RELs, no. No, they have their own process. But like, you just got like a theater and you've got 6 subwoofers. Yeah, I think some kind of digital correction may be needed for most people to get that dialed in right. Are there some people that could dial in 6 subwoofers without DSP? Probably. I could probably do it. But I have a tremendous amount of data points, and I don't think that's in most people's wheelhouse. I'll be honest. I'm not sure I could do 6. 6 might be too many even for me. I might need a mini DSP because time aligning all that and ensuring you don't have any phase cancellations, that's a big challenge. Yeah, I would definitely recommend you find a good digital solution to get that all dialed in and time aligned. The more drivers and woofers you have, the more time alignment becomes of paramount importance. I don't care because I don't like DSP. I believe oftentimes DSP can do more harm than good. But when you've got that many woofers, you need it. And I think we can all agree at this point that DSPing in the base region is nowhere near as harmful as DSPing the entire system. Yeah, Dean, definitely get a mini DSP of some kind or a DSP. I don't know if a mini DSP can even handle 6 subs, honestly. You might want to look into that before you buy it. Svalbard says, oh, you like sci-fi? Yes, a lot. I read about 20 science fiction books a year, brother. He said, sweet, okay. And investing sweet. Okay, sci-fi tip. There's a YouTube channel called Quasar Spectra. Super good. Posts almost daily. I'll check it out. Let me bring it up right now. I follow a lot of sci-fi channels already, but definitely don't mind adding another one. Oh, I do have one question though, bro. Is it an AI channel? I don't like AI channels. If it's an AI channel, like that shit pisses me off. I just don't like it. Oh, he's a narrator. Nice, nice. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Thank you. Dean says he's using R3 metas right now. He's got some R7 metas on the way, saving up eventually to get the reference 3 or 5 at some point. Yeah, Dean, so you're going to see what it's like going up to a tower. As good as bookshelf speakers can be, that bigger tower is going to sound more effortless. It's going to stage bigger. It's going to have a larger sense of scale. Size undeniably has inherent benefits. Svalbard says investing thesis that's worked super good this year. Long dated calls, 2027, just OTM on PM miners. I'm not familiar with these investments you've got here. If you're in the free Discord, I'm happy to talk about it now. I am one of those people. I have the bulk of my money in NVIDIA. I bought a lot of NVIDIA back when it was $11 fucking. My only regret is not buying more. I only bought about 20 shares at that price, so I'm not a millionaire. I'd be a millionaire if I had as many shares as I have now back then. But hindsight's 2020. It is what it is. But I always believed in NVIDIA, not for the reason they actually became popular. My reason was wrong. I had a theory that, I guess it's somewhat true. It came somewhat true. I had a theory that GPUs are so good at certain types of specialized computing that one day they may take over and CPUs would become old-fashioned and computers would only have these high-end GPUs in them, and that's it. Now, that's not what happened. But the specialized nature of GPUs did continue to show itself in a lot of these critical areas that I didn't even think about, like AI. Or mining crypto, right? So I was half right, and it definitely paid off. I hold a lot of other tech stocks, and then I have like weird stuff too, like NVIDIA, AMD. I bought a lot of AMD early on too, not enough, but it is what it is. Hindsight's 2020, right? We all should have bought Bitcoin when it was fucking $10, $5. I remember when Bitcoin was 1 penny. God. I have a friend that had like 500 Bitcoin on a computer he threw away. The shock of that loss broke him. Around the time Bitcoin hit like 25,000 a share, he did the math, and so I think he would have had like $1 billion or something. Let me do the math right now. Let me see. Maybe it wasn't quite $1 billion, but hold on. 12 million. He would have had $12,500,000. And when Bitcoin hit 25K, the memory that he threw away a computer with 500 Bitcoin on it broke him. He never recovered from that. He ended up just devolving into drug use. He lost everything, all his money. He lost his home, his car. He's a crazy homeless person that yells at the grass now. It's so sad that broke him because money's important, but goddamn, it's not everything, man. It's not. It's a shame. I haven't seen him in like 2 years. A lot of people were looking for him. I don't even know if he's alive still. I hope he is, but yeah. Hindsight's 2020, man. Serge says, I'm looking to shop against BMW 802. And what monocoustic do you look at? The Platamon. The Platamon is the one you want to look at. Also, I got $100,000 and I want a pre-owned Porsche. What am I looking at? I'm guessing you're in the US because you use the $sign. So Porsches were on my list as a potential car to purchase. So I did look at a lot of them. I did learn about a lot of them. Now, my R8 V10 is not going to lose a lot of value. I'll be able to drive that car for another 10,000 miles and I might lose, $10,000 or so after a couple of years. Most cars are not like that. The Porsche that's like that is the GT3. That's not a $100,000 car. You can buy If you can up your budget to the 150 territory, you can get a 2014, 15, or 16 GT3 with the 3.8. Those did have some minor engine problems that scare people, and that's what keeps the price down on those. So if you bought one, I would only buy one that's a certified pre-owned that comes with a 2-year warranty, just in case, God forbid, you have an engine failure. The engine replacement is about $60,000. But that car will hold its value. It's not going down in price. Aside from that, if you want to stay around 100K, I mean, you're looking at like 4 or 5-year-old base 911s, basically, right? And those are going to hold their value all right, but not the way like a GT3 will, right? There's definitely older models you can get. I wasn't in the market for older models. I was mostly looking 2017 and up because I wanted Apple CarPlay, or if I was going GT3, I was looking at 2014 and up. And I did test drive a couple of them. They just weren't for me, but great cars. Let me see what GTSs go for. I think the 2017 GTSs are in the 130s, but that's another good car that you can hold on to some value with. Let me see here. We'll do a quick search. I'll do a nationwide. Let's full screen this. So used Porsche 911, all miles, search. Of course, there's a lot of Caymans too, right? Cayman's a great car if you're not like I have to have a 911 guy. You can get like Cayman GT4s, I believe, in that price range. Maybe like 110. That's a great car. All right, let me go down to trim and see what we can get a GTS for. So no, we don't want a cabriolet. Just give me the regular GTS, man. Where is it? God, this is so annoying. I'm gonna use Control F. Targa GTS. Okay, we'll choose that as an option. Carrera 4 GTS and regular GTS. Okay, and let's see what we got for the year. We'll cut it off at probably 2017, just in case you're like me and want Apple CarPlay. And let's look at the cheapest ones. Actually, let's get rid of some accidents because we care about value, and clean title and no accident cars are going to retain their value the best. When you have a car with an accident on it, you're going to tend to get a lot of lowball offers. Okay, here we go. 2019 911 GTS, 44,000 miles, $122,000. Those miles are a little too high for a value standpoint, but here's a 19 with 15,700 miles for 128. So something like that would be great. It's a great car. The GTS is like the base 911 with all the most popular upgrades, a little more power, a little nicer interior. Everything's just a little nicer, and they just hold on to their value fairly well. My buddy bought a 2017 GTS 4 years ago. He just sold it because he upgraded to a GT3 and he only lost 10 grand. So if that's within your budget, that's probably where I would look. Or Cayman GT4. Cayman GT4s hold values fairly well. So let's see just real quick if we can find one. Cayman GTSs do all right too. And then certain years of the GTS. Okay, so GT4s, lowest price. Yeah, they're a little bit cheaper than the GTS 911. So GT4 Caymans, 113, 114. These are, cars with 20-ish thousand miles on them. These are beautiful cars. The driving dynamics are phenomenal. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I would look. All right. Sorry, guys. I know not everyone loves the car content, but I do. So It is what I will talk about sometimes and go on tears. All right, where did I leave off? Philip says, have I watched Alien Earth? He hated Prometheus with a passion. I liked Prometheus. I didn't like the other two movies after Prometheus, but I thought Prometheus was good. Alien Earth, I heard it's not good, bro. I haven't watched it, but I heard it's not good. I heard there's like a lot of girl boss nonsense and like political like commentary in there, and that bothers me, bro. I don't like my entertainment media to have a lot of like modern political commentary. I'm not like a very political person, but like I notice it, you know, and it seems like we're mostly at the tail end of the girl boss era. But I heard it's like that. I might still watch, like, I usually still will give something a chance because sometimes I like stuff, even if it's bad. Like there was that Zack Snyder thing, Rebel Moon. Reviewers hated that. And I'll admit a lot of what they said was true. It had its shortcomings, but I still found it entertaining, you know? So I'll still probably give Alien Earth a chance and watch the first 2 episodes. What I've heard is the first episode is most people are like, "Ooh, this can be good." And then the second episode, you're like, "No, it's terrible." But we'll see. I might give it a chance. There's another Alien show. God, it was pretty good. It got weird in the second season, and then it got canceled. I can't remember what it was called. I think it was on HBO. Let me see what it was called. You might want to watch that. What was it? It came out like 5 years ago, and they did a bait and switch where they said like Ridley Scott was in on it, but then it turned out Ridley Scott only like was part of the first episode and then just like went away. God, only Alien Earth comes up. It's so annoying. I'm scrolling through this list to see if I can find it. Maybe it wasn't part of the Alien series. Maybe it was its own like standalone thing that like Ridley Scott, you know, did. Sorry, yeah. I can't remember what it was. Was it Raised by Wolves? I think it was. Yeah, it was Raised by Wolves. Raised by Wolves was like a really interesting sci-fi show with that old school traditional slow pacing, and it's dark. The first season was good. The second season, 50-50. I enjoyed it, but I can see some people having a problem with it. And it did get canceled, so you're going to have to use your head canon to come up with the ending. But Svalbard says, getting in early on NVIDIA is a win for sure. Yeah, I just wish I bought more than 20 of them. And by the way, that $11 I bought, that was before the run-up and split. Like, I'd probably had like a few 1,000% return on those. Yeah, Dean, the 911 prices have just gone up, you know, they have in the last 4 months because Porsche raised the price of the new ones, you know? So a 2024S, if I were you, I would ditch the 2024S and try to get a 2017 and up GTS. I think you will like the car more. It will be a better purchase in terms of value retention. And it's just more badass. And honestly, on a 911, the four-wheel drive or the all-wheel drive just is not needed. It's just like, you tell me you're going to drive that thing in the rain and in the snow, like, you just don't need it. I've driven the 2017 and up GTS, and it is an absolute riot. I've driven the base 2020 911 also. The GTS is notably quicker by quite a bit. So, and it's not tail happy. So if you're like scared of rear wheel drive, don't worry about that. I mean, how much do the 2024 S's go for? They can't be that much cheaper. And then like with the GTS, you're gonna get a car that's like gonna be equipped with more options. Like usually they came with PASM, they came with Sport Chrono, they came with the power package. Like GTSs are just like I said, it's like a base 911 just with all the good options. That's why people like them so much, you know. But I mean, let's see what a 4S does. Price. It's not even a lot of 4S's for sale, bro. Did you say 4S, or is there a Carrera 4? Oh yeah, you said 4S? Yeah, bro, these 4S's are the same price as the GTS. Fuck that. Get a GTS, bro. Better to have an older GTS than a newer 4S. 100%. I promise you. I fucking promise you, bro. Like, without a doubt. Because look, bro, the 2021 4S, miles are low, okay, but like 125K, 127K, those are the two cheapest, then it jumps up to 145. We found way more 2017 and up GTSs at a better price, and it's a better car. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to hold its value better. Like, you know, I think the current, the 992 4S might be as fast as the previous 991.2 GTS, but like they're similar in power, but the 991.2 GTS will hold its value better in my opinion. Definitely consider a 991.2 GTS. Svalbard saying he's got to bounce. Good stream. Have a good one. You too, my man. What did I miss? Fletcher says, hey, what's up, Fletcher? When we got married, my wife sold her nice duplex and I sold my home. Didn't need to sell both. If we kept her duplex, it would be generating approximately 80K a year now. Life. Yeah. Yeah, I get it, bro. I get it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people in that boat. My mom had a condo that she moved out of, and back then she couldn't afford to like keep it and use it as a rental. Like, she needed the money like from the sale because it was mostly paid off. We had bought it when she first moved to this country, but she sold it for like 320. That condo is like 1.5 now. You know, it's insane. But no one knows these things. Chihu says he almost imported a 98 Supra twin turbo, one of 10 or 11 made back in 08. What's a RSP? But didn't due to the door not having the VIN sticker due to an accident. Yeah, that's not good. Oh yeah, bro. Chihu, I remember there was a period of time where like there was a guy in California. He was selling a GTR R34 GTR. Like not like a GTS, R34, GTR, V-Spec for $7,500. Why? He had imported it as a Sylvia and he got caught. He was in a lot of trouble and his lawyer, I guess, told him, you got to sell this car to someone who will only track it because it's illegal to own on public streets, but you can trailer it to a racetrack. That's it. Bro, those cars are legal here now, and like a clean one like that is over 100K, and I could have bought this car for $7,500 back then. It's crazy. Yeah, Chihu, I mean, like, we all make those mistakes though, bro. Like, hindsight's 2020. You can't get mad. Just like if you sat down at a poker table, bro, and say you hit and now you bust and you're like, you see the dealer's hand, you're like, fuck, if I would have held, I would have won. I should have held. You can't get mad at yourself for that. You're judging yourself based on information today on a decision you made like yesterday when you did not have today's information. You can't do that. You can't. You'll just be upset. You can't. It is what it is. We all could have bought Bitcoin when it was 1 penny. We didn't know. I remember in my early 20s, a good home was, out here was $320,000. And if I couldn't afford to buy, more than one of those back then, but I probably could have bought one if I pushed myself, but I didn't. Some of those homes are like 2 million now, 1.7, 1.5, 1.2. Like at minimum, they've tripled in value, Who cares? We got our health. We're still doing well. We're all doing well enough that we could have a luxury hobby. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, hi-fi is a luxury hobby. You know why? Your phone has speakers. Your TV has speakers. Your car has a factory stereo. You don't need a sound system. It is 100% a luxury. And we're all in this hobby, and we can all afford to be in this hobby and have, $1,000 or $2,000 speakers. That is a luxury to most people, my friends. You don't believe me? Tell your coworker, I bought a pair of speakers. They're really nice. Show him a picture and be like, yeah, those were $2,000, and watch his reaction. If he's a regular person, he's going to look at you like you're crazy. The idea of $2,000 speakers to people is insane. People think $500 for a set. Like normal people think $500 for like Klipsch or Polk is crazy. All right, we're a little bit past the 2-hour mark. I'm gonna give a little bit of time, see if anyone got a burning desire, and then we'll probably wrap it up. There's a ton of cars we could have bought, Chihu. Before the flu that happened a few years ago, you could buy a Porsche GT3 991.2 or 997 for like 125K. Those cars are like 220 now, 250 for some of them, 265, 280 for some of them. And they just have more miles on them now than they did back then. It's insane. Do it, Chihu. Chihu says he's contemplating buying an SB17 to add to his 2 SB4000s. Yeah, I mean, if you want more headroom, larger sense of scale, yeah. Conversely, hear me out. You can sell your SB4000s, and if in your region they command a good price, maybe you can buy 2 SB17s. Just a thought. Price is going crazy on everything, bro. Deodorant's fucking $13. I use Old Spice Fiji. And the last time I saw the price at Ralph's, or Kroger, as it's known in some states, it was $12.99 deodorant. I remember when deodorant was $1.99, and it's $13 now. What the fuck? It doesn't make sense. Joan Frederick says, hi. What's up, Joan? You coming in at the tail end. We're about to wrap this up. We're at the 129-minute mark, so about 2 hours and 9 minutes. This is usually where the streams die. I'm just giving a couple of minutes if anyone's got burning desires, questions they want to ask, stuff like that. Again, Chihu, only if, they command a good price. Otherwise, having 3 subs would be pretty cool too. You know, the SB 4000 pair and with that 17, it's going to be a lot of headroom, you know. But I don't know how much space you have. That's why I'm saying if you can get enough to offset the cost, enough that it makes sense, dual SB17s would be a serious upgrade, you know, from the 4000s. I believe the 5000 is a pretty substantial upgrade from the 4000 also. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the tail end of the stream. We are going to wrap it up. I am going to get off this stream and I'm going to cook some amazing spaghetti. What I've been doing recently, I'm going to share this with you because it's so good. Every now and then I would make spaghetti and I'll just use angel hair, right? Then I grabbed a pack of shells. I remember liking shells as a kid. Guys, shells in spaghetti as an adult is the superior option. Trust me. Next time you make spaghetti, get shells. The meat gets inside there. The sauce gets inside there. It's so much better. It's so good. Oh, did some questions come in? Yeah, it's Chi Hussein. You got a smaller room. Yeah, a pair of SB17s would be pretty nuts. You know, I'm guessing it's a theater. If it's music only, you might not want to do that. There is such a thing as too much sub in a music system. Fletcher says he sold his 61 Impala with a 454 in it for 8,500. Yeah. Yeah, they're a lot more than 8,500 now. Yeah. She saying thanks. Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, look, thanks for tuning in. Again, upcoming reviews are going to be comparison videos because I've been sick all August. I can't hear properly. I cannot review products. If I could fake it and no one would know, I have that skill, but that wouldn't sit well with me. So I just did like bullshit throwaway videos. And oh yeah, Chi Hussein entirely home theater. Yeah. Do the SB17s. You're gonna fucking love it. Those things are monsters. If you're really if you want some fucking crazy room rumble that your neighbors are gonna feel, the PB17s will do that. But you'll probably lose some of that tactile impact. Anyhow, I digress. Guys, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate everyone who watches these streams. I just do these for fun. You know what I mean? I like interacting with the audience. And like I said, the next few videos are just going to be those comparison videos, cheap versus expensive speakers. I got 3 of them lined up. Feel better, homie from Suwat. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. All right, guys. Take care, everybody. Good seeing y'all. We're talking to y'all.